In order for Germany to become strong enough to rule Europe, it needed to expand from its shrunken borders after the First World War. It needed to basically become strong enough to compete with rising superpowers to the east and west, namely the US and the USSR. And so that required a degree of expansion. That's what the geopolitical logic was when it came to that. And it also required a kind of, you could say, an imperialism. It required Germany asserting itself over the continent writ large, as opposed to just simply bunkering down in Germany and saying, well, what's going on in the rest of Europe isn't our business. We're just going to focus on Germany. Well, the reality is that would be naive, because the Soviet Union had expansionist designs. That can't be denied. And they demonstrated it very clearly. And there was ambitions in the American elite to use their influence to basically reshape the entire global international order. So these were powers that were universalist in nature, that had larger ambitions than simply being concerned with themselves. So in order to confront these twin threats, the Germans had to figure out a foreign policy and had to figure out an orientation that would enable them to compete for basically European domination. There was no other state in Europe that was capable of taking on that responsibility other than the Germans. So to me, when I look at this in a kind of realistic way, and then also pair that to the fact that for me, German National Socialism wasn't just like some aberration of the 1920s, but was instead a concrete manifestation of a far deeper historical process whereby the German nation rejected many core elements of the Enlightenment that gripped, obviously, the Anglo-American and French world. To me, the Germans were simply asserting a different form of consciousness, a European particularism, and obviously a racial particularism against the encroachment of universalist political projects that now, due to their success, are literally threatening the very survival of our race and have reduced Europe to its weakest position perhaps ever, at least in recent centuries. So I think when you take that into consideration holistically, it becomes a lot easier to sympathize with the Germans.